Thank you for joining us once again on platform. We are continuing our conversation. Last week we had an interesting and exciting conversation with the Director General, Research and Documentation, Governor's Office, JOS, Honorable Sam GODONGS, and he was trying to give us an understanding of what the time is now philosophy is and what they have for us in Plateau State as a government. My name is Yakubu Tade, and again, he is here in the studio to continue on that line of conversation with that. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, so many issues last week, and you tried to give us an insight into what it is. The point we stopped was to looking at peace and security and how what role would Operation Rainbow play, even though it's a quasi security outfit, if I may use that word, and with the challenges we're having? The governor has so much talked about that Operation Rainbow and within the context of peace and security of the state.
Thank you very much. I believe that most of our citizens are aware that to tackle the security problem in the state, we need to think creatively within the security architecture available in Nigeria, and indeed our own alternative thinking. And the debate that has raged for so long about community policing. And too that previous governments, particularly the redemption government, muted the idea of Operation Rambo for good reasons. And it was endorsed by the federal government. So the initiative started from Plateau, but the federal government endorsed it and legalized it. So Operation Rambo holds a lot of promise. And I tell you, from the conceptual framing of Operation Rambo, is going to draw its strength from the communities. It's going to draw from local able and willing personnel that are quite familiar with the local terrain, that are trained professionally, and that will give the invaders and the attackers a tough time to conquer, because the conceptualization of Operation Rambo includes training the communities themselves. They are going just to lead and to train and to guide. Operation Rainbow is going to help us a lot, so that the bulk of our people will become, defenders of their own lives themselves.
Well, but they are not expected to bear arms by law. If you say that, is it to provide intelligence or to defend themselves?
Is a network. Yeah, as they mobilize the locals and the communities, they relate to the conventional federal security agents too. So it's not going to work in isolation. And the fears has been that it could be hijacked and things like that about community policing. But the truth of the matter is that if we must match the kind of onslaught our people are facing, then something of this magnitude that will mobilize and train the communities has to be in place. There must be a countervailing force, as it were. So let us allow it flourish. Let us allow it mature, and we'll take it up from there.
I've taken a look at Amotekun.
Yes,
Abubuyagu is not so much, but the one that it looks as real and exemplary for others to take a cue from.
yes.
Are you also relating with people of the Southwest to look at their scope and how they have planned their structure in such a way that these things are minimal, are reducing by the day in the Southwest, unlike other parts of Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you. Even though I don't want to belittle what is happening in the Southwest, but up here we have had the worst forms of attacks, much more than the Southwest. If anything, this initiative of the Operation Rambo started with us. And the argument about community policing, you know how it dates back. And we started it here up here. And if anyone should learn, ordinarily, it should learn from us. But however, we lost time and space for nearly 8 or more years. But this present government is willing to give some life to Operation Rambo, and the idea is that we'll draw lessons from wherever, whether southeast, southwest, wherever. But the bottom line is that our communities, our locals, should be in the forefront of providing security. Really. So I'm not taking good results, yes, but I can assure you, our communities will give us the desired quiet and desired security cover that is in
What
there.
are the assurances for those who have fears?
In this matter, we can't we can lean on fears. Well, let's try it. Let's go ahead and do it. There might be gaps, yes, but it's better to try than not. The fears generally, the elites are arguing that this will translate into some war machine, so, you fracture the state security process, and groups to the akin to Somalian experience. You begin to have regional or local warlords, governors misusing and abusing the security power they have, and all that. And who said even the federal police? There are allegations that they are being used and misused. So those fears, as far as I see, cannot be compared with the collateral damages that we have suffered over 2 or so decades. I think we need to try it. If we don't adventure, then we may continue burying people.
In the inaugural speech of His Excellency and
Yes,
in subsequent comments publicly, he has talked about peace and security. And we saw him visiting the president
yes.
on the issue of taming the monster of attacks on the plateau. He has also visited the service chiefs, and some have come here. What is your reading of the situation as of today?
It's something that you can't go to sleep. Security is so dynamic, and the players and the actors themselves are not static. So you have to keep at it. Going to the president is excellent. The president taking action, rejigging the security chiefs is excellent. But you can't take you can't take whatever is for granted. You have to keep at it. You have to keep doing it on a daily basis. So their visits, what the common man on ground is looking out for is when he can sleep with 2 eyes closed, when he can go to his farm and come back safely, and do other things. So if these actions are not translating, and very soon, food security is looming, is staring us in the face. We may be facing a serious humanitarian situation for food. Mango, for one, is like the
The food
food
basket,
basket
yeah.
of the state. And so, whatever visits, whatever actions, is the translation into concrete deliverables. That's the issue. So yes, last month, that's why people have security assessments per time, either a week or a month or 2 months. You have to keep checking what is going on, and the lessons from is it Corona? The
Yeah.
virus keeps mutating. The actors keep changing their style. Some they attack you in the morning, some at night, some on the farm. They will lay you from markets and so. So it's a situation you keep at it. You have to keep adjusting as the challenges mutate, as it were.
Well, let's get back to some
Yes,
of the issues. Last week we just spoke. Uh, it was ambiguous, not specific to certain issues about governance. And the three main focal areas, we just mentioned three.
yes,
And for me, I don't even know, not to talk about the Plateau people and our viewer. So,
yes.
what are those three focal areas that this government is looking at to help recalibrate and also improve on the well-being of the socio-economic well-being of the Plateau people?
Thank you very much. The first area of priority is the economy. In the economy, we are looking at food and raw materials. We are looking at incomes. We are looking at employment. You are looking at all kinds of things that make up the economy, which is actually the base. Economic life, economic prosperity. Now, there are several thematic areas that add up to the economy. Number one. Number two is physical infrastructure, as we said. Physical infrastructure, very diverse. And in every sector, there are some form of infrastructure. Remember, I pointed the fact that virtually in every sector, we have what is very well known decaying infrastructure all over the place. So, very, very important. There are so many thematic areas that add up to give you physical infrastructure. Then, good governance, the issues of inclusion, the issues of accountability, transparency, robust income and revenue generation, robust good participation, keeping the populace and our people in the know, communication. All these things add up to good governance. We have 28 thematic areas drawing from these three main areas. So, if you like, the basic three areas of priority or agenda will give birth to 28 other thematic areas.
If you have 28 children, that is too much in your hands. Don't you think so?
Children,
Yes.
polygamy, or
To have 28 thematic areas in
yes,
4 years, and you're looking at 4 years, the time started counting from May 29. You're looking
yes,
at the whole, are you going to touch them in just surface, or you're mentioning them in the hope that if something happens, you're looking at the resources, you talk of the economy, and
yes,
the Plateau economy is still
in
like
sham.
the Abuja subvention committee
Oh my God.
economy, because that is what let us look at them systematically, the economy.
Yes.
Most times for every government, Nigerians have come to look at governments like creating cliches
Yes.
that at the end of the day it doesn't match what the cliche holds. This is what we're doing. And the economy, what is the approach? We have
Yes.
the low hanging fruits, for some
Yes.
people have mentioned agriculture,
Mm.
tourism,
Mm.
and minerals.
Mining.
Yes, those particular areas.
Mm.
Is there a deliberate strategy, or is
Mm.
there something? How can you walk through this to reap the benefits?
Thank you very much. I think let me clear one particular impression. The fact that we have three areas of priority does not mean that the 28 thematic areas that add up to these three will be approached or implemented with the same intensity so that we are totally overstretched. No, it is demonstrating a complete understanding of the situation, which is fair enough. We need to have a full, complete, comprehensive understanding of the plateau that the time is now wants to transform. And then you prioritize even those thematic areas. There are linkages, backward and forward linkages that add up. So you know the key areas that will give you the growth that you require. For instance, we said an area that will attract government's attention in the first 4 years must include the economy. It's not everything that is possible within 4 years within the economy. The government will therefore, within that priority area, you know, there's a scale of preference. There is those actions that can trigger, that are prerequisites to others. Now, in the economy, the time is now is saying agriculture is primary, because in agriculture on the plateau, a lot of our people are there. Number two, we have comparative advantages that no other state, can beat us to it. We are looking. And number three, there are certain infrastructures that must be revived, must be revitalized, so that the food, the agro-allied raw materials, and the industries that will spring there from can receive a boost.
Let me
So
add
this
this.
thing is not
I mean,
vague.
I'm interested in the agriculture.
Very well.
He had visited ASTC.
Yes.
Yes. Beyond the visit,
Mm.
what is being done for ASTC? Because when it was set up, people used to come from other parts of Nigeria. In fact, one controller of CBN had his training there, and he has a big farm today.
Yes.
And now the place is a ghost of itself. On priority list, agriculture for food security, agriculture for employment,
Agriculture for raw materials.
for raw materials. What is the immediate? What are we expected to see within this first 4 years? Because Plateau is agro-based,
Yes.
so people would be more interested in looking at that. He did mention in his broadcast, inaugural speech about fertilizers and farming
Very well.
inputs.
Very
So,
well.
talk more about these issues.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's so unfortunate that a project and a policy that brought ASTC into being was relegated again. We are picking up the pieces, and again, ASTC was not a mistake. It was never it's the right step in the right direction. If there is anything we need to do in the plateau, under the time is now, is to boost ASTC, to incorporate those segments and sectors that are very critical to giving that organization the desired life that is needed. Now, in ASTC, it was a wonderful approach. There were laboratories attached to it. There were machineries attached to it. There are even maintenance of this machinery attached to it. Then we had a weak link in the area of marketing the produce. That is what Barrister Mutwang is looking at. Let's again try the ASTC and then link it up, incorporate it as a company, incorporate it, not as government business, but as a sole private driven concern that utilizes government's advantage and policy. So if ASTC can give us a lead scientifically, all these greenhouses that you see, they are a function of the inspiration of ASTC. So the seedlings, the machinery, the studies, and that will be on the front burner, so
Okay.
that again our people will imbibe those crops for which we have the highest advantage.
Everything you talk about,
Yes.
you've not mentioned human capital development. And all of this, reviving the economy, agriculture, and everything, will depend on the quality of human resource you have. In terms of human capital development, let me take from the agri sector.
Yes.
You have the
Extension workers.
extension workers.
Mm.
PADP is depleted.
Yes.
Minister of Agriculture is depleted.
Very well.
And you have NBRI form. You have Plateau State University. They just established a new department of Faculty of Agriculture. You have school, College of Agriculture, Garkawa, and all of these things. And all of this also, they are struggling. Where would the manpower be gotten from to help actualize this? Knowledge is dynamic, new trends every day
Very
in
well.
always everything you do. But human capital development to help implement this policy is what.
Don't be under any illusion because I have not mentioned it, does not mean that it's not in the blueprint. And the time is now cannot. We don't have robots yet to help us in agriculture. It's still going to depend on the quality of personnel that we have all over the place, in the labs, on the machines. Everything is still labor intensive in this part of the world. But in Plateau, under the time is now, I don't need to overemphasize the need for quality personnel both in government and outside. Remember, I said the approach now is to drive the revolution. You know, the Mars cap is green, and he has told you that Plateau is going to be green as long as he's governor.
All year round.
All year round, not only depending on rain-fed agriculture. All year round, that cap must remain green. Plateau must remain green, and that can only be facilitated and translated by humans. It is critical in every aspect of the agricultural chain to have personnel that will drive the process. Marketing will be driven not only by technology, e-commerce, but it will be driven by requisite personnel. In the ministries, in ASTC, in PADP, we are looking at all of it. We have no business lagging behind in terms of agriculture. In Nigeria, Plateau has no business. We have real and very true advantages that we can exploit.
Okay, let's look
Yes.
at one fact about business, the economy,
Yes.
the ease of doing business. As at the last count,
We're
we
number
had information
26.
that there are conflicting information. We had information that we had moved to 10.
Not at all.
What is the true position of Plateau State? On
What
ease
is
of doing
available
business?
to me is that we are number 26.
Which
in
year's report
Nigeria.
is that?
I think the 2021 or 22. I'm not very sure now, but I know we're in the 20s. Not even whoever gave us that 10 is an exaggeration. We are not yet there.
So, given that as it may be,
Yes.
yes, what is this on ground to facilitate ease of doing business?
The ease of doing business, the indices that go into it are numerous. They are not just wishful thinking. They are not just natural and geographical resources. It has to do with procedures. People are talking of incorporating and signing companies using technology throughout. People within 24 hours, registering companies, and there are a lot of things that both at the state and federal level need to be in place to improve the ease of doing business. And the issues of repatriation of profit, the ease with which you can get hard currencies. All these things go into the ease of doing business. So from law to the environment, to resources, to people, all these indices matter. So if somebody will tell you the ease of doing business does not include security, for instance, then he's just joking. We are not yet there on the plateau. People need to have their investments secure. They have to be confident that one day they will not lose their investments, that they can repatriate profit, or they can move money around. And so many infrastructural questions too add up to the ease of doing business. We are not yet there. Hopefully, by the grace of God, the time is now, wants our credentials to improve. But we want to improve organically. We don't just want to single out certain things. We want the beneficiaries of the ease to be first and foremost domestic, not people that come from outside to invest alone.
So as we wrap up this conversation, what should Plateau people expect? Because from the announcing the result of the election to the swearing in, it was massive response and tumultuous reception.
Yes.
Yes.
You don't blame the Plateau people. If you have experienced darkness, then you should appreciate light. The very people that can testify that they know the importance and the use of light is those who have seen darkness and have experienced it. Plateau people have experienced what they does not look plausible, does not look exactly as what they want, and they have hope that the time is now mantra. Eh? What the locals call gida gida. That gida gida will actually lead them to their gida in terms of food, in terms of security, in terms of employment, in terms of even improving skills acquisition, improving. Uh, in fact, the prospects of the state, the huge debt burden. I went to my village and people were saying, "So, what will happen that we have this big debt on us and our children?" I said, I just told them that by the grace of God, certain things will be done right. No one will just go and acquire loans and heap them on our children and our grandchildren unwittingly. The processes for loans, and in fact, I heard the other day that people should contract loans that they can pay within their tenure. I think the laws need to establish that no government should acquire loans that go beyond their legitimate tenure.
Okay.
Mm.
In closing, let me put this to you. Um, how much would you tell Plateau people that we've had one top government official at the federal saying, in its early days, but he said they didn't promise magic. Do the, two of them have mentioned that they didn't promise magic, that the president does not have the magic wand. Do we hope to hear this, or do you hope to walk the talk to the end of the administration?
Well, I am not wholly brief for those people but whoever sought public office must be held to account for his actions and his policies. This mantra, under the time is now, is promising that our security challenges will be taken on, that our poverty will be reduced, and that our hands and minds will start working, and that you know that generally Plateau people will be happier for having the time is now. So uh, our own magic is spelled out that our economy should turn around. Physical infrastructure should be restored and some procured. And good governance, that participation in governance, inclusion, you know, for all sectors of the economy will improve. These are the credentials that the time is now is putting on the table.
Okay,
Our own magic is spelled out.
that's a fine place to leave this conversation. I had told the governor during the town hall meeting we shall track, and we're tracking. So the timeline will become, and we're bringing people, you people, to be talking to Plateau people about the movement. You have onboarded already, so that how the weather is affecting the flights. So we're getting that information from time to time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sam Godongs, is DG Research Documentation, Government House. I'm Yakubu Tadi. And from subsequent editions, he's giving us an overview and the ground information that we need to work on. We're getting government officials to come and ventilate the ideas and how they hope to also drive each of the ministries for the benefit of Plateau people. Next week, we'll be here with another guest. Goodbye.